Hello everyone, my name is ZEECRAZYGee, and I'm a guy that does stuff. And my friends, it is... Although not really, because it's not the 31st. But it's October, the month most commonly associated with... And to celebrate this spooky month, I want to talk about something that I've been debating for a while whether or not I should put on this channel. Mainly considering the stuff that I cover is more focusing on older games. And that thing I want to talk about is the Call of Duty Zombies mode. Now, before I go into zombies as a whole, I kind of want to give my thoughts on what I think of Call of Duty as a whole. Now, I'm kind of in the same boat as most people in that I think COD is more or less the same offering each year, with only minor tweaks being made mechanics-wise. But I still think the Call of Duty games are still very well made, graphically impressive and smooth controlling games. But there's no denying the lack of inventiveness when it comes to each subsequent release. Granted, it's nowhere near as bad as games like FIFA or Madden. The exception of this repetitive formula is zombies. Now, at its core, zombies has also remained very similar mechanics-wise, but it's the way those mechanics are utilised to bring out the more imaginative side of the gameplay, and it goes all the way with it to create something that can stand out very well on its own. It's funny to think that what started as just a round-based horde survival in World at War has grown so much into a big co-op-driven, deep, addictive, secret-filled experience that can be played in multiple ways, providing one of the most bizarre, head-scratching yet very interesting lores I've seen in video games. Seriously, from an outsider, it would seem crazy that a side mode in a COD game has a storyline quite as involved as this. But I think it's this strange, bizarre and mysterious nature that makes zombies work. The more out there ideas and concepts of the mode really allowed the developers more leniency with their creativity, showing us the wackier and more fun side to Call of Duty that a lot of gaming media seems to ignore a lot of the time. And the kings of it all, Treyarch. Granted, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer have given us their own interpretation of zombies, but Treyarch is by far the most cemented version for most people, having developed its gameplay and story over 4 games by now. And with Black Ops 4 around the corner, ready to give us what looks like the biggest and best zombies offering ever, and with it being a month themed around all that is spooky, it seemed like there was no better time to talk about this. And to celebrate, I want to share with you my top 10 zombies maps of all time. Now, just a few things to say before we go in. This will cover all iterations of zombies, so that's Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer. And more importantly, this is strictly my own opinion. This is not a definitive list of any kind, just simply my favourite zombie maps. And my favourite maps may be different to your favourite maps. No one is right or wrong here. Please do share with me in the comments below what your favourite maps are. I would be very interested to know. I just want to say first off a big shout out to my friend Ad for helping me record this gameplay, and second, I do apologise for the quality of the gameplay on the PS3 games, mainly because it is a console version and it's not going to be as good. And without further ado, let's get right into the list. Starting off this list is a map that is in all sense of the word classic. Kino Der Toten was a big coming on point for a lot of zombies players. Granted, it started back in World at War, but when Kino released as the on-disc map for Black Ops 1, everyone was playing it. And it's a perfect map for beginners, I think. The layout has a great flow, plenty of open space for training, hell, this map practically led to the invention of training, and an eerie atmosphere to create the epitome of an early zombies map. Now, what I think lets it down overall is that, well, it is just a bit boring. Mainly because the openness of the map and the inclusion of one of the best but most overpowered wonder weapons of all time, the Thunder Gun, allow for a breezy experience that really just doesn't hook me to keep playing beyond like round 30. But aside from that, I can't deny there's something about the vibe of Kino that keeps me coming back to it. There is just something so comforting about this map. It's simple, straightforward, classic zombies. Oh, and it has the best fucking Easter egg song of all time. Absolute bliss. Okay, so when it first came out, me, like a lot of other people, weren't really feeling Shadows of Evil. It just seemed a bit too involved and tedious at the time. However, coming back to it over Black Ops 3's lifecycle really surprised me and made me realise that while still quite involved, the map offered plenty to do. And yes, while simply opening Pack-a-Punch can be more tedious than it needs to be, the rest of the side content in this map is very good. Unlocking and upgrading the swords, the pods, the little Arnie quests, the fuses all just provide a bit more activity. As well as this, the atmosphere and presentation is amazing. The noir theming is certainly one of the map's strongest aspects. Oh yeah, and the best goddamn wonder weapon of all time that you have to anally fist to use. Sublime. But once again, like Kino, I don't find progression into higher rounds all that fun, and the parasites, meatballs and margwa certainly don't help and are more of an annoyance than a challenge. The Easter egg is also a bit lackluster, and the characters, well, just aren't that interesting or memorable to me. And it's a shame since they have such great talent like Ron Perlman and Jeff fucking Goldblum behind them. But regardless, Shadow's unique vibe and depth is what keeps the map interesting, and in retrospect is certainly one of the most innovative and ambitious maps we ever received. Now, if we were judging these maps based on just their regular versions, this one would have not made it onto the list at all. But since I am including the Zombie Chronicles remasters from Black Ops 3 here, Moon earns itself a spot on this list. What was once a dull, lifeless and clumsy map severely hindered by the clunky aspects of Black Ops 1 is now a hugely atmospheric map with amazing presentation and gameplay ideas that are much more suited to the more modern engine. Suffice to say, Moon was a map that was ahead of its time in Black Ops 1, and the anti-grav didn't really lend itself well to the stiffness of that game. But BO3's more smooth and fluent control allowed the anti-grav to feel more controlled, and therefore a very unique and interesting mechanic for the map, as well as one of the most fun wonder weapons in the form of the wave gun and vastly improved graphics, allowing for a more bombastic yet suspenseful tone to the whole map. And it's just a shame that Moon is let down by some, not bad, but more annoying aspects. The astronaut areas becoming decompressed and the fucking excavators and the extremely luck-based elements of the Easter egg just serve to inconvenience you and interrupt the flow of things. But there's no denying that Moon certainly benefited so much from a remaster and really allows us to fully appreciate the epic and insane climax of the Black Ops 1 season. So Kino der Toten may be the epitome of an early zombies map, but Der Riese is the map that solidified what zombies was at its core, finally perfecting the base formula for what zombies mechanics should be at heart. And that is a big factor in why Der Riese and the Giant get this spot. While it's on the same level of complexity as Kino, Der Riese is a lot more interesting in terms of its design and gameplay. There's not one place that's entirely safe aside from the catwalk, and even then, camping there can only take you so far. It manages that pure classic feeling of zombies that Kino has, but makes it less predictable and more balanced gameplay-wise. The Wonderwaffe DG2 is not the most powerful wonder weapon, but when used right it works well to get out of certain situations. It's also where the story of zombies really began to take shape. Despite having our four main characters in Shino Numa, it's here that the narrative really began to kick off and has snowballed into the time-travelling multi-dimensional madhouse that it is. Der Riese is the defining map for a specific era of zombies, and that is something that cannot be taken away. And on top of that, the Giant is also a solid remake, retaining the dark, oppressive atmosphere and core gameplay while providing its own take on the vibe of the map. Simply put, Der Riese is the map that sowed the seeds for what zombies is today, and that's why it comes in at the number 7 spot. Okay, Treyarch may be the kings, but despite all odds being against them, Infinity Ward pulled out all the stops to make sure that their debut Zombies map was as best as it could be. And by trying something completely new and fresh in its vibe and atmosphere, it certainly succeeded. Zombies in Spaceland felt like a breath of fresh air after the gritty tone of Black Ops 3. The 80s theme park setting is in full force and makes for one of the best atmospheres in any Zombies map. The colour, the music, it's all just awesome. The balance of this map is also very well done, with a mix of close quarter and open areas, and finding a good high round tactic can be hard. The replayability of this map though is what surprises me the most. The sheer amount to do with the arcade machines, Neil's challenges, the souvenir system, the roller coaster, ticket system, laser zappers, vast amounts of lethal equipment. It's insane the variety this map has to offer. Now, the big letdown for me here is the Easter egg. It just sucks. It's way too short and nonsensical, and the boss fight is a big load of shit. And also some elements like the Afterlife arcade and double pat being locked behind the E were pretty arse, but these are more problems with IW zombies in general. But Spaceland is a map that proves that a non-Treyarch studio can produce high quality maps too. And it's a shame that IW's season never quite reached the same level as Spaceland, but it was still decent. However, Spaceland still provides one of the wackiest, loudest and fun zombies offerings out there, and with the option of Director's Cut, it's one hell of a time for any zombies player. Gorod Krovi is a map that feels like the perfect balance of modern and classic zombies, in that it plays like a classic map in design but with the mechanics of the more complex modern maps. It also boasts one of the most epic atmospheres in any zombies map. With war-torn Stalingrad with dragons flying over, the production value of Gorod Krovi is something to be admired. Its main gameplay is well balanced difficulty-wise and provides plenty of side content outside of the main Easter egg, which I may say is one hell of an Easter egg. Albeit it has very shitty parts while doing it solo. I mean, fuck those escort missions solo. But the Easter egg is well structured and pays off to the best ending boss of any zombies map. The way it gathers up the story threads of Black Ops 3 while building up to the cliffhanger before Revelations, Gorod Krovi can only be described as epic. Now, the small things that hold it back for me is that Gorod kind of feels hollow to play casually for me. I can't quite put my finger on it, but the map just doesn't invest me enough to play for high rounds. Also, it feels like there's something missing from this map, and I feel that void lies in a wonder weapon. Now, don't get me wrong, the Mark III is amazing, but it doesn't quite fit as the main wonder weapon. I don't know, I just feel something like that would have elevated Gorod a bit higher and make it feel more complete. But regardless, the bombastic experience of Gorod Krovi is a spectacle all in its own and rightfully earns it the number 5 spot. Yes, I know what some of you are thinking. 5. Are you fucking serious? 5. A map that seemed very forgotten by the community, but I feel is perhaps the most underrated map ever. 5 is mainly notorious for being one of the hardest zombies maps ever made, and people cite this as a bad thing. But being honest, I actually think the difficulty is 5's greatest strength. Yes, this is a tricky map. It's very close quarters, camping and training are both difficult due to the layout, and the ineffectiveness of the wonder weapon certainly doesn't help. But it never feels unfairly difficult and never gets to the point where it feels impossible. It's the challenge that keeps me engaged and wanting to keep playing on through the higher rounds, and it really grips me. The novelty of this map is also very fun. I mean, the crew is complete jokes. JFK, Robert McNamara, Fidel Castro and Richard Nixon, how can you go wrong? The Pentagon Thief I also think is a unique addition and really is not as annoying as people make him out to be. To me, it's the perfect basic zombies map and is the map I always hop on when I want to play a casual game of zombies or when I want to improve myself as a player. And I am so glad this map is getting a second chance to shine in the form of Classified for Black Ops 4. And I can only hope it improves on what is, in my opinion, the perfect casual zombies experience. Okay, now we're rolling with the big boys here, and nothing could have been a better way to kick off Black Ops 3's DLC season than Der Eisendrache. What to say about this map that hasn't been praised enough already? The bows, the Ragnaroks, the Easter egg, it's all great. But I think when it comes down to it, the main thing that makes Der Eisendrache near perfect is that it's perfectly balanced for both casual and hardcore players. The basic setup of the map, power and pack-a-punch as well as the base bow are all simple and easy for those casual players. But the 4 unique bow upgrade quests are what sells it for the hardcore fans, each quest providing a unique set of challenges that require good skill to achieve, and the payoff is worth it. Not to mention the unbelievably fun Ragnarok DG4s and probably my favourite Easter egg quest ever. And just a fantastic setting. Jason Blundell made us all suckers for medieval castles and achieves this in a reasonably small space. It's cleverly designed and makes the most out of its area for a great flow in ensuring each area of the map comes into play. I suppose the only thing that stops it from being perfect is the fact that it may be a bit too easy. The bows aren't particularly balanced, with the most powerful bow, the Storm Bow, being the easiest to acquire. It just makes the map a bit too lenient and prevents it from just becoming the best. But there is still no denying the legendary status of this map, and it rightfully deserves the number 3 spot on this list. Yep, this is not number 1. And look, there's so much good I can say about Origins. The incredible dieselpunk World War I setting, the huge epic atmosphere with the giant robots, the 4 very unique and diverse staffs, the sheer amount of stuff to do on this map, it's all brilliant. Origins design and structure always ensures you're occupied with something, and even then, surviving to a high round is very versatile on this map. There's multiple strategies and the 4 staffs all provide a unique playstyle, and the 2 unique weapons on this map in the form of the Mauser and the MG08 are just the cherry on top for me. There is just 2 things that stop Origins from being perfect in my opinion. First, it's the Easter egg quest. Now I know a lot of people love this Easter egg quest, but I'm sorry guys, I just find it too random, finicky, and tedious. And speaking of tedious, how setting up on the map can feel very sluggish. Fun sluggish albeit, but sluggish nonetheless. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Origins, and I can understand fully why it is so many people's favourite map. The atmosphere, the gameplay, the versatility, it's all fantastic. But it's not quite enough to top my #1 spot. Okay, so before we get to #1, just a few honourable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. Call of the Dead, a good map, but I know a lot of people hate George Romero, and honestly, he's what makes the map for me. Without him, I don't think it would be as unique as it is, and while the setting isn't that great, the memorable celebrity cast more than make up for it. Shangri-La is a map that sells itself alone on visuals. Location-wise, it's a map like no other. Yes, it is hard, and the flow and design isn't great when I compare it to other hard maps like 5, and it is complete wank on public matches, but the visuals and the baby gun are fantastic standouts. Buried, I'll give it this, despite the fact that it is so piss easy, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of designed like a sandbox map. Go and do whatever, have fun. It's a map that just lets you get into a game and piss around, and the atmosphere and sound design is also very good. Zetsubo no Shima, I actually really liked this map. Granted, at launch it was a buggy as hell and tedious mess, but after some tweaking it became a pretty good experience, but still retained some of its initial flaws. I don't find it as tedious as it was or as some people make it out to be, but the eerie atmosphere and the amount of stuff to do elevate it. Oh, and the Marshall fucking 16s. Enough said. Shaolin Shuffle is the only map in IW season for me that came somewhat close to what Spaceland achieved. Granted, it was nowhere as deep or replayable as Spaceland, and the Kung Fu powers were a huge disappointment, but it had a cool Easter egg quest and an even better Easter egg reward, and a really nice setting with the 70s Chinatown, New York. But with those out the way, let's get to my #1 pick. Mob of the Dead is by far the most enjoyable, memorable, and best designed map in all of Zombies in my opinion. I initially got into Zombies during the start of Black Ops 2, but it wasn't until Mob that I really went, oh wow, this mode is really something. The setting of Alcatraz Island gives us the most natural feeling layout of any map, the real sense that we are exploring a real location, because it is. Presentation wise, it's the best I've ever seen. For 7th gen consoles, the map looks fantastic, the lighting, the colours create such an unsettling atmosphere, and the sound design, oh fuck yes, it's incredible. The atmosphere is so rich in this map and it completely sucks you in. It's also very fun gameplay wise, the concept of finding the plane pieces and flying to the Golden Gate Bridge ensures every area of the map is utilised and gives such a sense of this epic quest and how to tell its story around this creates the best blend of gameplay and narrative in Zombies to date. Speaking of story, it's astonishing how brilliant it is for just a single map. While having a small connection to the rest of the story via the blood vials, the focus of Mob is its 4 characters and their story is something fantastic all in its own. It's a story of redemption. Trapping these 4 men into an eternal hell, making them question their morality showed a much more deep and personal level of storytelling in Zombies that we hadn't seen before. The epic plan of escape, the demonic themes, the looming mystery make it such an interesting part of the Zombies lore. On top of this, the Blundergat, the Golden Spork, the Hell's Retriever are also just fantastic additions that just complete the experience. When Jason Blundell became project director, he made sure to show us what his take on Zombies was capable of. And with Mob, he took Zombies to a much more ambitious, epic and deep level, to a lot of people's joy and to some people's disappointment. But for me, Mob will not only be the turning point for Zombies, but the experience that had the most depth, character, fun gameplay, excellent presentation, and the one that hooked me on this ever-expanding and intriguing mode. And with the remake Blood of the Dead in Black Ops 4 carrying on the story of Black Ops 3, promising a bigger, more expansive and deep exploration of Alcatraz, it makes me so excited to see my favourite Zombies map become even better. And that is my top 10 zombie maps of all time. Yes, I know, some of you are probably hating me right now. I am sorry, but that's my opinion. And please do comment below what your favourite maps are. I am very interested to see what some people's favourite maps are. I do genuinely get surprised when I see some people's opinions. And please stay tuned to my channel because even though I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to cover Zombies, I will be talking about Black Ops 4 Zombies a little bit after it comes out, so do stay tuned for that. But all in all, thank you very much for watching my video. Seriously, even the fact that you clicked on this is just enough. It means a lot to me. And feel free to like and subscribe if you feel so inclined to. Once again, thank you very much for watching everybody, and goodbye.